Hello, welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. Today we are back with issue 2 of Hachette Partworks, Build the Titanic. Okay, so let's have a look at what you get with issue 2. So again, you have the magazine, of course, with the instructions. Not a great deal to do in this particular one. In fact, it's only 2 short pages of instructions. Again, you have the usual articles about the ship and, of course, the disasters. There is, of course, a nice little article on J. Bruce Ismay, who was the owner. Many point fingers in his direction at why the Titanic sank. But we won't go into that, too controversial. Of course, it shows you what you get in issue 3, which is turbine pieces and your smoke generator. I was wrong, it's issue 3, not issue 2. And issue 4 is some hull pieces. Also tells you what your free gifts are. If you subscribe, your first delivery, you get a tin poster of the Titanic. You also get a binder. Later on, you will get a screwdriver set, but you'll have had to use a screwdriver by that point. And then finally, in the UK only, in France you don't get this one, you get a Titanic pocket watch. So, yeah, very nice. And also, again, if you subscribe and choose the premium subscription, you will get a crystal display case to keep your model in. Always highly recommended. And finally, the bit we're actually interested in, the parts. Issue 2 comes with the first section of the hull. It also has the nameplate, little fixing plate, and a free screwdriver. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, so these are the parts we get. We get 2 sections of the hull, very nicely painted. You have your black section and of course your anti-fouling red section. We have a plastic bracket that's used to fit the pieces together. We have our bag of screws, which is labelled AM screws. We have our free screwdriver, which I'm not going to be using. I'm going to be using my own precision screwdriver because it's far nicer to hold, and when you're turning, this bit rotates. So you just keep it in the palm of your hand and it'll turn quite nicely. Far more ergonomic, but it's nice of them to provide them anyway. And of course, the iconic Titanic nameplate. Well, we're not using that. That's just a keep aside for later one. Okay, so the first thing is get the screws out. And what we're doing, essentially, to begin with, is getting the 2 hull pieces and pairing them together like that, making sure there's no panel gap, because the last thing you want is for there to be a gap in your hull, particularly at the front. Now, once I'm finished building again, I'll do my usual and we'll have a wee chat about the way it's going together. Obviously, despite it being the same publisher, this is slightly different from the way they did the hull on Bismarck, but let's get this put together. So again, the first thing you're screwing is just in here. Now it does give you some advice on screwing metal plating together, but quite like Bismarck, in fairness, that went together really well. They're not very long screws, so it suggests to me that the holes aren't particularly deep, and I don't think they can be for the front section. So again, just make sure it's lined up, drive the screw home, back it out slightly to clean the threads, and then back in. Do the same with this one, just back it out slightly and make sure it's as tight in as it will go. And that looks like that. Lovely. Now the next thing we're doing is getting the sort of adjoining piece and puzzling together how this bit will go into the hull. It will obviously go this way round to match up with the hull. Just trying to see how it goes on. It'll go on like this. So just again, match up the holes there, and then we have 4 more screws to go in to hold the plastic piece on. Now for those of you who've built Battleship Bismarck, or who've seen me build Battleship Bismarck, I don't think there are many of you though, the way Battleship Bismarck was screwed together, very similar, but the hull pieces were secured together by metal tabs. This is far more reminiscent of the Eagle Moss Enterprise D. It was secured together with a plastic frame with the metal parts screwed to it. So that's what it reminds me of, but 2 more screws to go in. And that's all there is to do for this particular stage. Very nice. So as I say, issues 1 and 2 of partworks tend to just be to whet your appetite, so to speak. So that's how she's looking just now. Looks pretty good, if you ask me, and that is how the next section of hull will join on. So I'm assuming the bit we get in issue 4 will piece together much the same, and then will be attached here, extending that bit out. So that's how she looks from the front. You can see it has the hole in the front there. But that brings me on to one of my concerns, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. The nameplate itself, it looks as though once this next bit goes on, the nameplate will be fixed on here. So you can set it in to see kind of how that's going to look. Looks pretty good to me. So I'll take that back out and I'll put it somewhere safe so I don't lose it. But yeah, that is all to do in issue 2. Okay, so as I say, pretty quick on that. I think issue 3 might take slightly longer because it's to do with the turbines and everything like that. So I suspect it might not be just as quick. But as you say, that's a pretty hefty piece of hull plating. Looks really good. This is what I'm going to discuss now. That is only half. Obviously, there's another side. With Bismarck, the way it came was the very front section of hull was a solid piece. And the same with the poop deck. When it appears, it's a solid piece as well. You can see Bismarck in the background there. Now, the only way I can see to attach, because it will obviously be a very, very tight fit, there's no room for any bracketing. The only thing I can see is these 3 screw holes here, which leads me to believe that we're going to be fixing the other half, screwing it through holes in the other half of the hull. So we're not going to have that smooth finish, and then sealing them up. Ugh, I can only hope not. I can only hope not. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what they provide, and I suppose that's all we can do. And again, I've noticed that the portholes there, they're not drilled out either. So again, I'll be thinking about whether I want to do that, but that's going to be difficult because those ones there are blocked with that bracket. So I don't know. I'll look at it, see if it's worth doing any modifications to. As I say, it does look very nice, and also it's the hull is higher than the hull of Bismarck, so it's going to be taller than Bismarck for the hull section. Can only wait and see, I suppose. But yeah, as I say, issue 3 features some of the engine turbines and a smoke generator. So join me for issue 3. Thank you for watching. Again, any comments, criticisms, concerns, or if you just want to have a chinwag about the Titanic, drop me a line below in the comments section and I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.